I am not going to fall into the simplistic error of equating the condition of these high-ranking wage slaves with previous forms of socioeconomic oppression. First of all, because if one leaves aside their surplus of false consciousness and their purchase of 2 or 3 times as much of the miserable junk that constitutes virtually the entire market, it is clear that they shared the same sad life as all the other wage earners of today. It is, in fact, with the naive hope of distracting attention from this annoying reality that so many of them jabber so much about how uneasy they feel about living in the lap of luxury while people in distant lands are crushed by destitution. Another reason not to confuse them with the unfortunates of the past is that their social position has certain unmistakably modern traits. For the first time in history, we are seeing highly specialized economic professionals who, outside their work, have to do everything for themselves. They drive their own cars and are beginning to have to personally fill them with gasoline. They do their own shopping and their own so-called cooking. They serve themselves in the supermarkets and in the entities that have replaced railroad dining cars. It may not have taken them very long to obtain their flimsy professional qualifications, but after they have put in their allotted hours of specialized work, they still have to do everything else with their own hands. Our era has not yet managed to supersede the family, or money, or the division of labor, yet one could say that these people have already been almost totally deprived of their practical reality through sheer dispossession. Those who never had any substance have lost it for the shadow. The illusory nature of the riches that the present society claims to distribute would have been amply demonstrated, had it not already been evident in so many other respects, by the simple fact that never before has a system of tyranny maintained its lackeys, its experts, and its court jesters so shabbily. They work overtime in the service of emptiness, and emptiness rewards them with coinage in its own image. This is the first time that poor people have imagined themselves to be part of an economic elite, despite all the evidence to the contrary. Not only do these miserable spectators work, nobody else works for them, least of all the people they pay. Even their retailers regard themselves rather as their overseers, judging whether or not they are sufficiently fervent in snapping up the ersatz goods they have the duty to buy. Nothing can hide the built-in obsolescence of all their possessions, the rapid deterioration not only of their material goods, but even of their legal rights to the few properties they may own. They have received no inheritance, and they will leave none. Since the cinema public needs more than anything to face these bitter truths, which concern it so intimately but which are so widely repressed, it cannot be denied that a film that for once renders it the harsh service of revealing that its problems are not so mysterious as it imagines, nor even perhaps so incurable, if we ever manage to abolish classes and the state, it cannot be denied that such a film has at least that one virtue: it will have no other. This public, which likes to pretend that it is a connoisseur of everything, while it in fact does nothing but justify everything it has been forced to undergo, passively accepting the constantly increasing repugnance of the food it eats, the air it breathes, and the dwellings it inhabits, this public grumbles about change only when it affects the cinema to which it has become accustomed. And in fact, this is the only one of its habits that seems to have been respected. For a long time, I have been perhaps the only person to offend it in this domain. All the other filmmakers, even those who are up to date enough to echo a few issues already made fashionable by the press, continue to presume the innocence of this public, continue to use the same old cinematic conventions to show it the same sort of distant adventures enacted by stars who have lived in its place, stars whose most intimate affairs it can ogle through the media keyhole.
Don't forget where we came from.
We lives.
Pete, I'm done running.
The cinema I'm talking about is a deranged imitation of a deranged life, a production skillfully designed to communicate nothing. It serves no purpose but to while away an hour of boredom with a reflection of that same boredom. This craven imitation is the dupe of the present and the false witness of the future. Its mass of fictions and grand spectacles amounts to nothing but a useless accumulation of images that time sweeps away. What childish respect for images! This Vanity Fair is well suited to these plebeian spectators, constantly oscillating between enthusiasm and disappointment, lacking in taste because they have had no happy experience of anything, and refusing to admit their unhappy experiences because they lack courage as well as taste, which is why they never cease being taken in by every sort of fraud, general or particular, that appeals to their self-interested credulity.